But we sell the bikes, but then we set up the infrastructure to support it. We've overcome that. Basically, there's 8 million charge points just across Kenya. There's 2 over there, there's 4 behind you, right? So the rider has agency, he has flexibility. There's a greater use case for this outside of high-density urban populations. And it's the cheapest way to run and operate the vehicle. And then number 3, because we own the hardware and we own the software and the technology, a bit like my other phone, right? We are fully integrated across hardware and software, which means we can give the rider better value, better utility over his motorcycle. We can get better data to keep improving the vehicle. We can give the customers who finance the bikes. More than 80% of motorcycles in this part of the world are financed by self-financiers. We can give them the ability to trace and remote control the vehicle wherever it is, thereby reducing non-performing loans and thereby reducing the price of the vehicle. So these are the 3 things that are unique about us. I'm going to ask Albin if you speak for 5 minutes on the motorcycle, the features that make it unique, why we designed it the way we did, and why effectively we have the highest NPS scores in the market.
Yeah, so here at Rome we've designed a vehicle from the ground up, so a chassis, integrating powertrain, and all the mechanical bodywork is Rome's design from the ground up, right? The reason we've chosen to make 2 battery compartments is because 60% of the asset value is the battery, right? So we've divided that in half, making it more easy to finance and more flexible for our charging solutions, right? So with every motorcycle, you receive 1 battery when you purchase it for $1,800. You can charge it at home from any normal socket where you charge your phone, which enables us to scale really rapidly and provide the cheapest total cost of ownership to our users. It also means that we can rent you a second battery when you have days that you need to ride a longer range, right? So on 1 battery you have 85 kilometers, on 2 batteries you have 170 kilometers, right? Which means that when you need to go really far for 1 day, we can rent you a battery and you can go to any of our road hubs that will show you the station outside. But essentially, why we've chosen to design from the ground up is that we saw that there wasn't a vehicle in the market that had the quality needed to last the entire financing period, so the 18 to 36 months of financing, which means that if you have a poor quality product, it breaks before the financing is done, which means that you can't repay the financing, which means the default rates go up. What we've seen with our product is that we've managed to make default rates from 40 to 60% with petrol motorcycles go down to 5%. So that's a massive improvement in quality and retention of asset, repayment rates, and all these things. We've integrated IoT, so we can remotely track, monitor the battery, remotely shut off the asset as well if you have a low-performing load. It's fully integrated, so tamper-proof against if you cut wires or if you try to tamper with any parts of it, right? Which is really essential for this market, but not for a market like China or US or India, right? So a very, very different product offering that we try to do here. We control 275 purchase parts over 40 suppliers, which means that we have control of COGS, or cost of goods sold, as well as quality. And essentially over the last 8 months, we've been able to reduce COGS by 35%. We've reduced warranty cases by 80% by just re-feedbatting the market feedback and just improving the product continuously. And basically it's made to go everywhere and charge anywhere, and that's our philosophy and how we've designed the product, and we're continuously improving it to be even better than it is today.
Thanks, Albin. Okay, I'm going to say 2 more things, then I'm going to stop talking. I'll see if any of you have any questions. Then I'm going to ask Trevor to spend 5 minutes talking about what you're about to see, which is our production facility. Right? 2 final things I'm going to say is, what's our customer value proposition? First and fundamentally is to give them a product that works. right? Customers in this part of the world use this to earn a daily livelihood, to earn income. The product has to work for what is a very intensive use case. Number two, we reduce the barriers of transition for them. And number three, most importantly, we save them money, right? Customers who transition from a fossil fuel bike to one of these save 35% on a daily basis from the first day of transition. When they've paid off the loan facility, they save 80% of their costs. This means you're more than doubling your income. That is a very powerful customer motivation. We are growing extremely rapidly. We have achieved unit level profitability. We have strong lifetime economics over the cost and size of this asset. You've met the team. The summary is we are today in the space where we've achieved excellent product market fit. We've got the largest assembly factory for electric motorcycles across Africa. We've got strong off-take agreements with credible purchasers of our vehicles. We've got our supply chain established. What's the missing piece in the jigsaw puzzle for us is capital. We're going out there now to raise capital in order to scale up our business. But we're going to stop there, see if any of you have any questions on any aspect that you've heard or would like to understand further. Yeah?
Do you see any limitations on your horizon for electricity production? Is that a stopping point?
Yeah, it's a great question. The question was, are there limitations on electric production? A second question, in a similar way, we also get asked is, what about grid stability? Is the grid stable in this part of the world? So two things. One is a lot of energy across large parts of sub-Saharan Africa to start with is green energy. And that's a big boost, right? This is a genuinely substitutive form of vehicle that is clean. We think there is a lot of generation capacity and there's investments being made in generation capacity. Let's take Kenya as an example, right? There's about 3.3 gigahertz of generation capacity today, and there are plans being made to increase that to more than 5 gigahertz. Now, what is really cool, okay, is peak utilization here is about 2.6, 2.7. So there's a little bit of bandwidth, but little bandwidth. Off-peak utilization is less than half of that. And what we're able to do is give the government, give the power generators, give the grid an ability to store energy during off-peak times, which means we don't have kind of power cap limitations, we don't have stability issues, or relatively fewer, and most importantly, we're able to give an off-peak and an off-take for energy that would otherwise be burned, right? Geothermal, if you don't use it, it's gone. We're able to give the ability to the government to store the electricity and use it during peak periods of time, thereby increasing utility and reducing overall costs to the entire economy.
Thank you.
Any other thoughts, questions? Yeah.
Do you want to talk about your capital raise and also if and then just Kenya expansion or other countries?
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, we're seeking to raise $20 million in equity capital, and on the back of that, we want to raise another $25 million in debt capital. The use of funds is threefold. One is to continue to invest in our engineering capacity and continue to bring down the costs of our vehicle further. Number two, to continue to invest in public charging infrastructure. Number three, to start, once we've achieved line of sight to corporate profitability, we're very focused. Sustainability for Rome means being able to sustain ourselves by getting to a profitable equation. So once we get in sight to profitability, yes, we're looking to expand regionally across Eastern Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa, and beyond, but in a sequential manner.
For productive use of drivers, the fact that it is to charge the batteries, break that they have to charge the bike instead of having the battery.
So the question was, for a productive use asset, the fact that they have to charge the battery, does that act as a disadvantage relative to swapping businesses, right? Yeah. Actually, no. The exact opposite, right? One is they have the flexibility to charge this anywhere. So we have, for example, 3 months ago, I spoke to an individual who's now one of our customers, who's now a Rome rider. He lives in an area in Nairobi called Rongai, and his daily work takes him around Kitengela and towards Go. I was talking to him about an electric vehicle, and he said, yeah, why would I buy one until you've got all the swap stations? There are no swap stations where I live. There are no swap stations in my journey of work. So me telling him, actually, you don't need swap stations. You can charge this anywhere you are and keep going, was what got him excited to buy one of our bikes. He can take this bike when he goes up country to Naivasha, Nakuru, or wherever outside Nairobi to visit his family. More than 60% of motorcycles in Kenya, and that ratio is about 70% in other parts of sub-Saharan Africa, are used in rural areas. Swap stations, by definition, are limited to high-density urban use cases. Right? Our bike can be used anywhere. We say, ride everywhere, charge anywhere, because that's what you can achieve with this. What we also offer, final answer to your question, is we have about a dozen public charging stations, right? So if you want to, if you're having an intensive day and you can't afford to wait 10, 20, 30 minutes, you can actually come to one of our public charging stations and rent a second battery from us to keep going, leave your battery behind to charge and keep operating, right? Later this year, we're introducing our next version of battery that brings in fast charging, which further increases the convenience of being able to charge anywhere on the go as opposed to swapping. Yep. So the question was, given there's a high percentage of the population, of the users who are not in high density urban areas, what are the challenges associated with accessing that customer, right? One is that's a very untapped market, right? So that customer today is underserved. Again, we believe with our model, we can serve that customer, but for us to do that, we need to raise more capital. So it's the same fundamental challenge we have as a business. We need access to capital. Number two, where we believe we have a preferable opportunity for those users is their usage pattern is somewhat different, right? So they do longer distances, they do have more waiting time, they have greater unpredictability. So again, to the question earlier asked, and as a piggyback on that, a model where you have the flexibility to charge your battery, where you have two battery options so you can use it for a longer distance, caters to that as well. We had, I'm going to give you a 30-second divergence because it's super exciting, right? We had in December last year a potential customer, potential organization that came here that are trialing one of our bikes with two batteries. They had put up a small micro grain miller on the back of the bike, right? So one battery was used for mobility, the other was to go to smallholder farmers, to them, take the bike and mill their grain for them instantly and give it back to them, adding value to that, right? They could only do that with a bike like ours. So super new and exciting use cases. What works well is distribution still the same, even in rural areas where they use the motorcycles. Those are financed by M-Kopa, by Watu, by